So I got this comment a few days ago. I'm afraid of Zhongli getting difficult to use in newer content with mobs who use shields against you. I'm hesitant about pulling for Zhongli. Do you think he's still a good long-term investment? And it's a valid concern. With healers becoming part of the meta with effects like corrosion, we can only assume that MiHoYo is going to implement more mechanics like this in the future, especially if we're going to be getting Sumeru this year. We can expect more mobs that do different things, and I wouldn't be surprised if they start to ignore shields too. However, saying that, today we're going to be discussing if Zhongli is still worth the investments. It's common knowledge that Zhongli has the best shield in the entire game. In fact, there's a running joke in the Genshin Impact community, which is if you're a Zhongli haver, you are most likely horrible at dodging. So much so that you can't even dodge to save your life, because that's just how good his shield is. So when you have Zhongli and Ajdaha attacks you at full force, you can just stand there menacingly and mock him because he hasn't taken any of your health off. It's fair to say that up until recently, Zhongli was going to be a must-have in every single person's roster, on every single person's account, because his shield is absolutely incredible. So when the official Genshin Impact Twitch announced that Zhongli was going to be getting a rerun in patch 2.4, people were happy for the most part. However, with characters like Xiao and Ganyu, as well as Yaimiko coming in 2.5, people were left to wonder if Zhongli is a good investment in the long term, especially considering we have new effects such as corrosion that was introduced in Inazuma. A quick TLDR for corrosion. Corrosion is an effect used by the wolves in Inazuma whereby not even a shield can protect you from your health depleting. Not even the strongest shield in the entire game. The only way to keep yourself up is to use a healer. Shields are completely useless against corrosion, so this makes taking Zhongli into 412 of the Abyss somewhat risky, if there just so happens to be these corrosion-ridden wolves. And that's why people have their concerns. Is Zhongli worth pulling for in 2.4 or not? Should you use your precious Primo Gems to get Zhongli, or should you get some DPSs? DPSs in which all of their kit can still be used against things that have corrosion. Well, let's get into that. Before giving my take on this, let me let you guys take the stage first. I asked the question in my Discord server and on Twitter. Is Zhongli worth the investment? I'm not going to read everything word by word, I'm just going to simply paraphrase what you guys have said. So according to, at least, the people who follow me on Twitter, 86.5% of people still think that Zhongli is still worth the investment in the current state of Genshin Impact, while 13.5% of people think no, he's not. Someone's made a good point, saying that Zhongli will always be a good investment, although it is important to be wary of the fact that MiHoYo is shifting gears and making new enemies resistant to shields. People in my Discord server seem to think the same thing. Someone else makes a great point, saying that not every single enemy in Genshin Impact has an effect like corrosion, and also the fact that weekly bosses are not immune to shields, which means that Zhongli can at least be used for gathering materials from weekly bosses. Someone else echoed the sentiments that Zhongli is great for beginner players and players who just need help with dodging in general, saying that he checks out all the boxes for those sorts of people. Finally, let's wrap up with my thoughts and if I think Zhongli is still worth the investment in the long run. And to that, I agree with the majority. I do believe that Zhongli is still worth the investment. While I still don't have him myself, he is vital for me as someone who is an avid Geo user. I main a few characters, one of them including Ningguang, so having Zhongli as a constant shielder on my team will allow for Ningguang to benefit from Geo Resonance. But if you're not an avid Geo user like myself and isn't interested in Geo Resonance, Zhongli I think is still worth pulling for, and not just because of his shield. There are still things that are useful in his kit that don't revolve around his shield, like his pillar, and also his gigantic meatball. And it's also important to remember that while MiHoYo is taking this route of making some enemies shield proof, it probably won't be for all enemies. And if you do happen to encounter enemies that do have corrosion or any sort of effects that MiHoYo adds to the game that just so happens to be a bit like corrosion, you can always switch out Zhongli for a healer. Your team doesn't always have to stay the same. In fact, that's the beauty of Genshin Impact and how to make it more fun. The more characters you can work with, the better. But if you've been staying strong for Zhongli and you've kind of been shaken by people saying, oh, Zhongli's not good anymore, he is. And he's still worth the investment, and I would say go for it. Go get him. Honestly, he's great.
Hey there. If you like Genshin Impact, Animal Crossing or games in general, join our chill Discord server. Thanks and have a nice day.